flock together. Please take me along. Lord, I'm too weak to travel. I'll be glad you're strong. And I'll lean on your arm.
Ooh, nice ending. So this morning, I was reading a verse in Matthew. I'm just going to paraphrase. Matthew is one of the New Testament books that actually purportedly was written by the fellows who actually hang out with the manifestation of God in fleshy form while he lived here on this earth. And Jesus said at one time, and I don't ever remember this, so it's cool to read it. He basically said, if you are not more righteous than the Pharisees and the scribes, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. Now, one thing I don't know if everybody knows is that Jesus was kind of funny. He was kind of, at least I think he has a pretty good sense of humor. And you know God does, because, I mean, look around. Well, and look around, and you know, or I certainly know, and I'll tell you, in case you don't know, that laughter and comedy is it's one of those things that can touch your soul, that can move people, and it can nudge at that which is permanent within us. That's that which transcends the impermanence of this zone that we currently reside in, that you could call life, or whatever you want. Anyway, Jesus is pretty funny. I remember hearing an NPR story pretty recently about how they wanted to find out why Jewish people were so funny. And they ended up going to like somewhere in Eastern Europe. I don't remember where, some town where supposedly Jewish funny came from, but people weren't funny there anymore because all the Jews had left. So I guess Jews have always been funny. Jesus certainly was. And here, he's actually telling the truth, but he's also kind of like messing with people, which he did a lot. He would kind of be like, he was a little sarcastic. And, or who wouldn't be, you know? I mean, if you're pursuing this righteous path and people are always questioning you and always misunderstanding you, and even your friends you hang out with are always like, wait, what? I thought you said, he's like, man, I said it pretty clearly. Oh, bummer. Excellent. Thanks for listening. But anyway, he said this thing about being more, the Pharisees, you know, sort of the religious leaders of the day, and scribes were literally scribes, and so they knew the holy books backwards and forwards. And I remember in some, I don't know who the heck told me this, but you know, the legend had it that you could take a nail, and maybe they even had to do this as part of their testing or something, I don't even know. You could take a nail and stick it on the cover of the Torah and Talmud and whatever, and slam it through, and that they could probably tell you, you know, look at the nail, and they could tell you the word that it had bumped into, you know, the point of the nail was touching, you know. So they knew that backwards and forwards, they knew the law. So as far as following the letter of the law, these guys would at least have the advantage of knowing what the heck it was. So Jesus comes along and he's like, you have to be more holy than these people. Now, in a culture that was sort of built around the law, you know what I mean? I mean, the Sabbath was literally a cultural communal event. It wasn't just like voluntary. Those are pretty heavy words, and I guarantee some people were like, what? How good do I have to? I don't know if I want to be that good. That doesn't sound fun. Also, it doesn't sound possible. Who has the muscle memory for that much moving around and that much goodness. And Christ said so many things about how sins of the mind are just as egregious as sins you act out on, you know. And I can attest to that. I struggle with sins of the mind all the time. And sorry, itchy. Oh, sometimes my tattoo itches, and I don't know why. Anyway, people are like, "How the heck am I supposed to do this? This is ridiculous." And the funny thing is more or less he was kind of leading you to, oh well, you're not, because you know what, we'll always fall short. Any construct of righteousness that we as humans build up, or that God delivers to us, will be like, oh, okay, so this is the way to behave. Let me do this. I'm always going to fail. I have a whole system, in my life that I've tried to live by for a really long time. Failed just ridiculous amounts of time. And as a kid, I was talking to Kat Pergal, who came over and shot some photographs yesterday, about how that's part of my walk that's kind of changed, probably something I've become aware of. And I guess maybe because when you're a kid, maybe adults just tell you, like, the slightly simpler version, just obey. Just do all these things, okay? And because, I don't know, maybe they're sick of arguing with you about other things, so they don't necessarily give you the fact that, okay, yes, obey, do all these things, but what do you do when you fail? Do you fail? Do you just try to hide it? Do you get punished? What's the deal? And I guess in this life, when you do wrong things, depending on what they are, you can get punished, and you do have to live out the consequences of that how you misbehave. But the only way to be that level of holiness that he was asking for was through him. So he was kind of slyly leading people around to be like, the salvation my Father's offering now is free and clear, and not only does it grant you salvation, but there's a fuel, there's a holy fire that comes along with it that can actually enable you to be righteous, way more than you would imagine. And even then, you'll still fail, but under the blood, it actually doesn't matter, because we are going to remain human. We're going to remain blameless, and our walk is just about giving over and letting him fill us as often as possible, and believing and proceeding and saying thank you that your act and my relinquishing of myself to the belief, to the faith in that, and the faith in your plans, and in the faith in that act and in that blood, enables me to be just a holy person, a saint, literally a saint, the kind of fella or lady who people smelt down pieces of metal and make little things to wear around their necks of. Saint Brendan. I know there already is one. And those weren't blameless people either. I mean, people may claim that they were, but there are no sinless people. But the glory is that, you know what, you don't have to be, because that's not how it's not how your design works now. You get a design flaw, but Jesus is fixing that in me, so I don't have to follow all his commandments every single day. I want to, because I want to just be love, the same way you want to please your parents, or your wife, or your girlfriend, or your friends, or just yourself, or whatever, and so yeah, I just want him to continue to fill me up with that knowledge, that I don't have to, that letter of the law, if I fail, I don't have to start fucking whipping myself, but that I can just return to him and thank him for the fact that I can live forever and live in joy in my imperfection, and in the image of his perfection, and the fuel of his holy fire can keep me just hanging on. Can keep me hanging on. You just keep me hanging on. I don't know if that was my Lou Reed or my Anthony. I don't know. You tell me. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye. Love you.